I would like to start by saying thank you GW2 for sponsoring this video. End of Dragons has been out for about 2 weeks now, and I think we have a better understanding of the new content and features that came with the expansion. So today, we will look at their impact on the game in general. Fishing and skiffs work together very well, and they are one of the more fun things to do in the game. They can be done in all of the maps, not just End of Dragon ones, and they are required for some end-game features like the new Siege Turtle mount and the new legendaries. And we will most likely also have some other collections that will be tied to them in the future. And because those kind of collections are always going to be in demand, I really think that fishing and skiffs are only going to become more popular as we go. I have already seen multiple LFGs about fishing, and I think that they will become more popular as we go, especially since you get a better loot when you try to fish as a group. You can also make a decent amount of gold from fishing. I will still make a guide for this as we go. Jade Bots are my personal favorite new feature that came with the expansion. The extra vitality you get from the core can be very helpful for some builds, and the modules we can equip on the Jade Bots are extremely useful. We have modules that improve how we use our mounts and gliding and skiffs, for example. You also have modules that will reveal chests in open world, and you have modules that will improve the loot you get as you kill mobs. All of them can be very useful for all kind of players, depending on what you prefer more and your own playstyle. The only thing I would change about Jade Bots is to just increase the drop rates for the tier 3 modules a little, and if we can make them somehow account bound. And keep in mind that some of those modules will also work in World vs. World, not just PvE. The Jade Tech defensive and offensive protocols that we find in open world in the End of Dragon maps, they will both give us a lot of boons and a boost to attributes that will be very useful in fights. The only thing I would say about them is that I just hope we can see them in other maps, simply because of how really great they are right now. I really expect Jade Bots to be a very important feature for the entire game, to the point that you will want Jade Bots to be one of the first masteries you want to unlock. I made a guide that explained how can we unlock Jade Bots and all the masteries for it, and what each module will do, and also how to get them and how to craft them yourself if you want to. I will leave the link for that guide in the comments and description. Siege Turtle is a new mount that came with the expansion. It is a lot of fun to play with, but more important, it is capable of doing a lot of damage and a lot of CCs, especially when we will have 2 players using the mount. You share the loot and XP you get from the kills together. I started seeing Siege Turtles being used much more often in a lot of metas, including ones outside of End of Dragons, and I got to experience firsthand just how useful they will be in some of those metas, and I only expect this to be more popular when more players get to unlock their Siege Turtle. The collection you need to finish to unlock the Siege Turtle is a pretty straightforward one, and it doesn't take long at all. It is nowhere close to the Griffin or the Sky Scale collections. I made a guide that explained how can you finish the collection all the way from the beginning to the end if you want to check it out. I will leave the link for it in the comments and description. And starting from Tuesday, March 15th, you will no longer need to finish the Dragon's End meta to start your collection. Instead, there will be a vendor you can go talk to and buy the egg using the map currency. This will make the mount much more accessible to everyone, and I will still make a detailed guide about this when it is released. Also, don't forget that Siege Turtle can be used underwater, but it will also be a very good addition whenever you are doing some map completion or just exploring, and I think it will make some water combat aspects much more fun to handle. And in case you didn't know, you can use the Siege Turtle to teleport people to certain places in the map. So for example, let's say someone wants to unlock a waypoint all the way at the end of the map, and you have that waypoint unlocked and you also have Siege Turtle, you can let that player get on board with you, and you can just waypoint and they will come with you on the Siege Turtle and unlock this waypoint, and it will save a lot of time for both of you. I expect this to be also very useful in things like hero point trains and such, where not as many people may have certain waypoints unlocked. Arborstone is such a huge and beautiful map, and it has its own masteries. I haven't unlocked all of them yet, but I plan to do so, and I will make a full guide on it when I am done. But the idea behind Arborstone is that it will be used like some sort of a hub for players to get to. And with the masteries you unlock for Arborstone, you will have crafting stations close to trading posts, for example. You will have banks and guild banks. You will have vendors that you can use for various stuff. This will be similar in certain ways to the passes that we currently have, like the Mistlock Sanctuary Pass, for example. I don't expect it to be exactly at the same level, but let's not forget that Arborstone does not require any item to purchase from the gem store. So I think for some people, that will be their main kind of pass and main place to go to act just like a pass. Arborstone is also directly linked to the Echovold Wilds, which has been personally my favorite map. It is full of lore and you can feel it in every aspect of the map around you. There are lots of events popping all around you, lots of mobs to kill, lots of things to gather, and the meta from it is a very good one. I personally expect it to be a good source of gold, and I will still try to make some guides about this as we go. The Elite Specializations that came with End of Dragons are not only fun to play with and they provide a completely different playstyle, but some of them provide a whole lot more support than we are used to. Anytime I have been doing metas recently, I have noticed we now have a whole lot more alacrity and quickness for examples than usual. And that is mainly due to people using those new Elite Specializations, which are capable of providing those kind of boons and that kind of support easily. This will also bring more options and more variety for people when sorting competition whenever they are doing group content, because you are no longer limited to only few options to bring certain boons. And some of those Elite Specializations will enable you to bring a lot of support while doing a very decent damage. So again, overall, that is a positive thing. I still plan to make a whole lot of build guides for all the Elite Specializations, for open world and group content, and we will look at those options in details together. The new strike missions that came with End of Dragons are very well balanced in my opinion. It is exactly as they described it. It will not be as easy as the strike missions from the Icebroad saga, but they will also not be as hard as raids. There are mechanics you cannot just ignore and out heal, for example. You actually need to do those mechanics in order to progress or to avoid dying, and this will get players used to the concept of handling mechanics and knowing how important it is, because in my opinion that is the most important thing in raids. And so this will act as a very good stepping stone to getting more players to not be as afraid of raids as they currently are, and at the same time, maybe as they will do strike missions, they will meet other groups and other guilds they can join, and they can also start doing some raids together. We are still going to get the challenge modes for the strike missions later down the line, and I am very much looking forward to seeing them in action. And I personally believe that when we have the challenge modes, a good path for new players will be starting with the strike missions from the Icebroad saga, just to get used to the idea of being in a squad and performing in the group, and then we take them to the next step, which is the normal strike missions that we currently have with End of Dragons, and then the challenge modes down the lines when we get them, which I expect a couple of them to be just a little bit harder than some of the raids we have, which will be a good thing in my opinion, because again, that is going to get them used to the idea of doing raids and not be as intimidated by it. Another good thing is that the strike missions from End of Dragons will allow you to get stat-selectable ascended weapons, and their skins are actually really good. And you can also get ascended stat-selectable trinkets. And as weekly items you can buy, you will be able to get Mystic Coins and Mystic Clovers, and that in addition to the fact that we can buy ascended stat-selectable armor from the strike missions with Icebroad Saga. So now everyone have a good path to getting decent gear for whatever build and whatever class they want, and then you can also use those rewards to craft the new legendary weapons, as they require less Mystic Coins and less Mystic Clovers than the other legendary weapons. And then later down the line, when we get the challenge modes, they will also provide legendary insights, which means that just from strike missions, people will also be able to get legendary armor. We will still of course need to do some raids to finish the collection assigned with the legendary armor, but overall it provides an easier path for people to get working on their gear. If you haven't bought the expansion yet and would like to do so, you will find a link for it in the comments and description. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.